Hi everybody, welcome back. I'm so glad to see you here. Today we're going to talk about my top 5 Tarantino films. He apparently only has one more film he's going to make to create his 10-film filmography. So we're going to go over my 5 favorites as of right now. Maybe his newest one would be on it, but we don't know what it is yet. So if you want to see what they are, stay tuned. So we're going to kick the list off with an oldie but a goldie. We're going to go with Reservoir Dogs. That is correct. The film made famous with Mr. Blonde's dancing groovy moves, I think, cutting off the cop's ear. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen the film. But if you haven't seen the film, then kind of just go fuck yourself, because you should have seen it by now. I mean, it's been out for like 30 years, so go watch it. Don't know what to tell you. Anyways, film so good, so complex with dialogue, so pop culture riddled with references and excitement, and it is just a wonderfully crafted film. This film is where Mr. Tarantino's efforts and his talent was really noticed. I think Harvey Keitel really took Tarantino under his wing in the sense of wanting to cultivate this wonderfully new and refreshing direction of film, and I think that this is really the kickstart to Tarantino's career. I think maybe he had written True Romance and sold it. If not, it was during this time. So it's True Romance and Natural Born Killers, which he sold both of those scripts, and then he got enough funding for Reservoir Dogs, and people had taken enough notice to his writing skills and abilities. He had also tried being a working actor, which I think that he's a much better writer and director than he is actor. So thank goodness for that his voice was able to shine eventually. Reservoir Dogs is gritty, it's bloody, it's fun, it's over the top, it's zany, it's ridiculous, and it is the kickstart to his career, and I'm so glad that happened because he's a wonderfully inspirational filmmaker to me. So Reservoir Dogs is a basic formula. It's a heist film, and the heist goes completely wrong. Everything goes awry. Whatever can go wrong does go wrong. It's hyper violent, and they're all just dealing with the aftermath of stealing these jewels. That's basically it in a nutshell, and like in Tarantino fashion, it is kind of all jumbled up as far as the timeline goes, and it's just wonderfully fun and over the top. So check out Reservoir Dogs. It is the most contained film that he has done, along with Hateful Eight. So, number 5, Reservoir Dogs. Number 4, because Tarantino considers both volumes 1 and 2 as one film, we're gonna go with Kill Bill, both volumes 1 and 2. What can I say about Kill Bill? Girl power, all right? Like, who doesn't love a good heroine that just kicks ass and takes names? Uma Thurman absolutely kills it in this film. I love the dialogue. I love the spaghetti western utilization of the shots. I think this is really the first time that Tarantino starts to transition away from these very still experiences that we have in moments, and he starts to play with those spaghetti western zoom-ins and the use of spaghetti western music in his film as well. And we start to see some of that purposeful overacting that we see when you would see a duel in a spaghetti western. So you have like the bride doing these magnificent over-the-top one-liners, and you see it in her face, and it's like, come and get me, are you ready? You know, stuff like that. And I really do love those pop culture references that he uses in Kill Bill, and I love that it is a kung fu film that is shot like a spaghetti western. So the styles are all incredible. The dialogue is all incredible. David Carradine gives an absolutely breathtaking, his whole performance is just incredible, and the way that him and the bride play off of one another is just so emotional. I love that we get both the badass elements of both characters and some of the heartbreak and love that they have for one another. Everybody else does such a great job. Vivica A. Fox, Lucy Liu, Michael Madsen is incredible in it. They're all just so good. The film, if it was able to be released as a whole like Tarantino had originally intended for it, it would be over 4 hours long, but I think it would be a wonderful experience to have. So if you're able to watch it as one cohesive piece, please do so. It is such a fun experience, and it is a kick-ass film. Kill Bill. I think it's highly underrated, actually. Out of all of his films, I think that one's the most underrated. Coming in at number 3 is his most recent work, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which I absolutely loved. I saw that film 4 times in the movie theater, and I think as time has gone on, I've really started to cultivate this experience for myself where when a Tarantino film is in the movie theater, it's like Christmas. So I go and watch it as many times as I can for the theater experience. And not only did I get to see it in digital form, but on 35 millimeter, it was playing at one of the local movie theaters here in Rochester, New York. And I went and saw it 3 times on 35 millimeter. It was so much fun, so cool. But Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is about Cliff Booth and Rick Dalton, a actor and his stuntman, and their experience working together. And it's basically all told through this lens, while centered around it is the experience of the Manson killings and the Manson family. And I do think, especially with all of what was being talked about with this film coming out and the experiences that, you know, Sharon Tate's family had to go through and everyone else who had to deal with Charles Manson and the horrible things that him and his cult did, it was done very tastefully. I think that the inclusion of Sharon Tate was done very well and very tastefully, like I said. And, you know, her boyfriend and all of those historical events that were happening in the story were added appropriately while also telling this fictitious story of Rick Dalton and Cliff Booth. And the film as a whole is really an experience in the 60s. And you get to see Hollywood in that time. And I think it's just beautifully shot. The dialogue is witty and sharp. And it's really Tarantino at his best. I think it's Leonardo DiCaprio at his best too. I think it's probably one of, if not his best performances. Brad Pitt was just utterly cool and fun and one of his best performances as well. And they just play off each other so incredibly well. It's very natural, as if they had been friends for years and years and years to come. It was pretty flawless in that way. And then the violence that does happen in the film is just extraordinary. I mean, I remember watching the film on 35 millimeter for the first time with this huge audience, and everyone was just giving a standing ovation and clapping at certain parts of the film, one of which is the flamethrower. I won't give any more away other than that. For if you have not seen the film, you need to. So when the flamethrower scene happens towards the end, it is just one of those experiences where the crowd comes alive, and that's why Tarantino films are so special. So Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is, again, his writing at its best, and all these actors that are in the film, Margot Robbie, Brad Pitt, Leonardo DiCaprio, everyone's top-notch at their best, and I think that it is one of his crown achievements. Coming in at number 2 is a absolutely fun, over-the-top spaghetti western film. It's one of my favorite films of all time, and that is Django Unchained. I think that this is a great depiction of how it actually was. I think it took balls for Tarantino to jump into making a film like this, especially as a white man, and really showcasing the trials and tribulations, and that's just putting it lightly. There's no way that I can depict it accurately or appropriately for the experiences that these black folks in our history had to go through, and I don't even really want to touch the subject because I feel like there's no way that I can even depict it appropriately. So we have that happening simultaneously while a revenge and seeking a long-lost lover's tale. It's a love story, sort of, while also divulging this revenge tale. And Jamie Foxx just gives his best performance, I think, hands down. Jamie Foxx is an action hero in the film. He is pensive. He's very quiet throughout, but he also, when he does have dialogue, especially Leonardo DiCaprio's character, Calvin Candy, it's very witty, it's very abrasive, and I think his character does such a great job of blending in with characters when he needs to, and also being a hero at the same time. And also, more than that, being a man that's in love, that wants to save his lady and just get on with having their lives being free. Christoph Waltz gives another amazing performance. We've seen him work with Tarantino before in *Inglourious Bastards*, which he was also incredible in. He is such a good character in this film. Him and Jamie Foxx play off of each other so very well. And Samuel L. Jackson and Leonardo DiCaprio really take the cake for me. They are so maniacal together, and they are really just the absolute epitome of evil. I couldn't believe when I saw that Leonardo DiCaprio had taken on such a despicable character, and I really give him props for that as well, because he is, I want to say that he's usually the good guy, or at the very least kind of this clean-cut character, and in this film he is anything but. He is just a conniving piece of shit, really. I can't put it any other way. He's horrible. He's a horrible human being. And Samuel L. Jackson's character is really kind of the brains behind the whole thing, and really kind of provokes Calvin Candy into doing what he needs to do in order to keep the Candyland structure from falling apart. So overall, the film is just over-the-top spaghetti western action melded in with some American history that's very unfortunate. And yeah, it's such a great combination. I love the film, and I love how the film ends. It's just beautifully done. One of my favorite films by Tarantino. And coming in at number 1, I've already talked about it on my channel. I won't get into it too much here, but again, I think if you're a film student especially, or new to film, you definitely need to get your hands, eyes, and ears on Pulp Fiction. Pulp Fiction is probably my favorite film of all time because of the nostalgic value that I have for it. When I watched it for the first time when I was a teenager, it really changed my perspective on writing, on directing, on filmmaking as a whole. It's such a well-done story with this beautiful dialogue, and the violence is just so ridiculous and fun, and the back and forth wittiness between the main characters, Samuel L. Jackson and John Travolta play, is just incredible. It's next to none. So I think if you're looking for a crime drama that has some really over-the-top ridiculousness going on in this like super pop culture ridden sort of film, you need to check out Pulp Fiction. And I think that it is his kickstart to stardom in a way. Reservoir Dogs was made prior to it, but I think Pulp Fiction is really what put him on the map for sure, where everyone's just like, this Tarantino guy, he's incredible. And I think that it is his best work. So with all that being said, I hope you all enjoyed my top 5 Tarantino films, and I hope you're all doing well out there, and I hope to see you all soon. Bye, everybody.